Alright, what is going on, party people? Kevin Cage back with another crypto update. I hope everybody's doing well, and I'm excited because we finally have freaking price action. So we had a really nice move over the past week, and I think the secret was I just had to keep calling price action boring. So let's keep it going. But anyways, I have OBS open right now. I've been trying to fix the corrupted audio. I see all types of comments complaining about the audio quality and saying this doesn't sound like me. Again, they're not reading the pinned comment that I have on every YouTube video, but this is the normal one with Voicemeeter. I've been troubleshooting it for like probably 2 hours, and I think I got it going with the correct sample rate. It still sounds a bit robotic, but this is the setup I was using since 2018 for YouTube, and then I'll go to the normal mic with just the crappy OBS filters. Let me mute this. So right now, this is just on the Yeti because the Shure SM7B microphone is giving me a lot of issues, but I know people are complaining about the gain levels and all the filters in this one, so we're going to attempt to record today's video using the Voicemeeter. So let me mute this. But yeah, hopefully that explains it, and I can get less questions on every single video saying it's not me, it's AI. You can go back to videos years back, it's the same voice, same person. You can read my pinned comments about a lot of the health battles that I had last year, and hopefully that clears it up. But anyways, let's dive into the fun stuff, and I hope you guys enjoy. Hit that like button, and let's dive right in. Alright, so we know that XRP and a variety of assets, including Bitcoin, even just recently poking back over 80,000 after a really long period of consolidation. So we had XRP back on August 19th, right around there, I mean really just under $1, and we can see that we got a big move, a nice little pump, over 70% to as high as close to $1.70. So we can see that was a breath of fresh air after, this period of just dropping. And then same thing with Bitcoin, so we were down here for months since June, and then we finally got a big move up under 63k to as high as 80k right there. So I'll probably talk more about this, discuss the Clarity Act, and what was this price move? Was it a short squeeze, or is there more going on? So what actually moved the market recently? I don't think it was just Ripple news, although there's a lot going on with X402 that I broke down in the previous YouTube video. I think this is long overdue, and we also have some news related to treasury buybacks. So, the thing about XRP that everybody should know if you've been in the XRP community is when it moves, it moves. So it's exciting that we are above the orange moving average, the 8 EMA or exponential moving average on the monthly time frame. But again, we're still approaching that 50 line, that middle line for the RSI or the momentum. So at least in the past, when we got that monthly candle body closure over that level and the strong cross, that's historically when you see those rockets. And that's when it's exciting. We're not quite there yet. So we had a few things happen all within the past week. So we had last week the Treasury saying that it's doubling down its buybacks of these long-dated bonds. So we can see US Treasury bond buyback expansion to $4 billion. So basically that is the United States buying back its own debt, hence liquidity. And then we also had President Trump, again, just repeating to Congress and telling them to pass the damn Clarity Act. So I think this is the photo that they had on August 20th. So we can see Brad Garlinghouse sitting right at the table with a variety of people. We have NASDAQ, CME Group, SIBO, the New York Stock Exchange, the DTCC, Alphabet Soup as he says. And everybody was in agreement. Rules written for a different era are not good enough, not for consumers, not for business, not for innovation. We can see 7 years later, we still need clear rules thanks to the Trump administration appointees and a myriad of bold leaders in Congress. And you guys already know the stats and all the articles out there, how Ripple the company had to spend $150 million on just fighting the SEC. So now right now, as far as I'm concerned, I still think they're waiting on the cloture votes for the Clarity Act on September 15th. Friendly reminder for anybody that thinks the Clarity Act is dead, absolutely not. It is far from dead. It will get passed eventually, after they finally agree. Again, the Genius Act, which is the stablecoin legislation or regulatory framework that is fully live for the usage or utility of stablecoins, that also got delayed and then boom. So we're going to see how many times this is delayed, but just understand that this can come out of nowhere, just like the Genius Act, in the next 6 months. And this would be literally the best thing that can happen to the crypto space, is actual regulatory clarity. And we can even see down below this $3 billion short squeeze. So that got closed out, and that forced a bunch of people to have to buy back at once, and then usually the price goes vertical or just straight up during a short squeeze. So it's not really dependent on good or bad news. So point being is we have $1.9 billion that flowed into US spot Bitcoin ETFs over the past week. And right on XRP Insights or the XRP ETF tracker, we can see this number, which is absolutely beautiful, 31 million XRP. So that basically just means that last week we had 31 million XRP more than what they sold. So that's brand new demand for XRP, and it's literally XRP being pulled off the market and put into a vault. And that, at least according to this, is over $45 million worth. Alright, so let me take you back when I posted this on May 5th, so we can see on Upbit, the largest crypto exchange in South Korea, we can look at the volume, and at this time, XRP's volume on Upbit was 70 million, so the third largest asset. So we knew that the Ripple US dollar was already live on Coin 1. I believe I was discussing, I have to go back and actually look because I don't remember. I don't know if Upbit had the Ripple US dollar listed at the time, but the good news is that Upbit does have the Ripple US dollar listed today. But we're talking about, KBank, which is the partner for Upbit and deploying on Ripple custody. We had KBank discussing stablecoin remittance. What South Korea is doing related to stablecoin remittance is really serious. So we can even see on CoinMarketCap when you look at the Ripple US dollar, it is available on Upbit. The volume is absolutely nothing, but we're going to keep tabs on this. And I'm bringing all of this up because I actually saw Bank XRP point this out today. South Korea's largest exchange is being dominated by XRP, 345 million in 24-hour volume in front of Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Tether. So that is a very good thing. We can see XRP is outpacing all of these assets down below in terms of 24-hour volume. So literally XRP, just like Bank XRP says, is driving this entire Korean exchange. And we also had this take place on August 18th. So we have Ripple and this Junebook Bank partner to modernize cross-border payments for Korea's regional banking sector. So we have Junebook Bank making it the first regional bank in Korea to deploy Ripple payments for cross-border remittances. Now in the same article, they even discuss what I was basically going to stack up on top of each other. I've done tweets about both of these groups. So we have Kyobo Life Insurance and KBank. So if you want to check these out, this was back in April for KBank. And then we even had right here with Kyobo back in April. So we have Kyobo Life Insurance, Korea's largest life insurer, exploring on-chain government bond settlements, and then we have KBank, Korea's first internet-only bank, deploying institutional wallet-as-a-service infrastructure right through Ripple custody. And then we now just have that Junebook Bank, that group that is going to be leveraging Ripple payments. And KBank, Korea's first internet-only bank, is literally the bank that's underneath Upbit. So again, this is just based on all the Ripple press releases. This is not saying that XRP is confirmed to move through that corridor, but I just want to point out all of the connections. Especially when you look at Bank XRP highlighting the volume for XRP. So we have Ripple payments, we have Ripple custody, and then beyond that, we really need something for lending. And speaking of lending, we had this come out on August 20th, basically around the same time that Brad Garlinghouse was in that meeting with all the heavy hitters. So this was shared by Cicada Partners, who we can see institutional lending coming to the XRP ledger. So I did retweet this or repost it if you want to read it, shared by Cicada Credit. And basically we have a joint announcement, a partnership between Ripple, we have Cicada Partners, and Clearpool. So we have DeFi yield has a credibility problem. An estimated 98% of yield in DeFi today comes from market mechanisms, including looping, arbitrage, basis trades, points, and liquidity mining. So basically all the crypto lending that happens is crypto to crypto, and it's just running in a loop or just a big cycle, and it's not really funding anything real or anything tangible. So a lot of institutions are just kind of sitting on the sidelines and watching this crazy science experiment of DeFi. Now what we can't ignore is all of this. We can see that stablecoin transaction volume exceeded $27 trillion last year. Why has it been growing so much? Because stablecoins are in demand and we have the Genius Act, federal regulatory clarity of framework. Hence why we're excited for the Clarity Act. So down below we have how it works, a new model for on-chain credit. So we have this Clearpool group and they're building all of this credit infrastructure right on the XRP ledger, leveraging XLS 66 and 65. And this is now built natively on the XRPL. And then we have Cicada Partners. So we have Cicada Partners, they're basically finding the borrowers, they're going to be setting the terms, and then they are essentially running the fund. And they have $860 million underwritten so far. So this is what they're doing. And then we have the company Ripple, an LP in the credit fund, so legitimately a limited partner in this fund, as an actual participant in the fund on equal terms. So providing capital alongside institutional co-investors. We have some really cool images down below just to depict everything that's going on. I mean, what I like most is seeing the flywheel effect down here for the Ripple US dollar. So we have Ripple and, other co-institutional investors or just institutions depositing the Ripple US dollar inside of a vault. And then from there, we have Cicada that is basically lending it to different vetted fintechs that need working capital. So what happens is they get this loan and then they pay it back in the Ripple US dollar with interest. And from there, every transaction settles on the XRP ledger using XRP for fees along with the wallet reserves. So there's a lot going on. You guys can check out the websites for Cicada and Clearpool. We can see live on 7 chains, so we can expect to see the XRP ledger being added to this very soon. And how all of this is being built is really interesting because it reminds me in last week's video where we went over the GitHub that was found by Krippenreiter, coincidentally, number 589. And if we scroll down the page related to this XLS on-chain cosign or just an amendment for the XRP ledger, we had this from Shota. We're building repo settlements on the XRP ledger. Ripple Custody will be the immediate customer and more names will be going public as we work through onboarding and contracting. So this is an actual employee. I even highlighted his LinkedIn in the last video if you want to check that out. But this reminds me exactly how this, lending protocol, this infrastructure is being built, because there's no smart contracts and the lending protocol, the vaults, everything is already in full compliance, built natively on the ledger. And there's not any unknown or anonymous participants. Everybody is fully vetted. So with this repo settlements and knowing Ripple Custody is the first customer, this entire draft is built to work with the same lending protocol that was just announced. So connecting the dots between everything we went through with Korea, XRP ledger repo settlements, and now institutional lending. And again guys, not financial advice, this is one guy's opinion, I am straight up dot connecting, but hopefully it makes sense. And for anybody watching right now, if you're going to be around on Wednesday at 11 a.m., be sure to tune in. I'll be hosting an X Spaces with Jared Feldman, SVP of Operations, over at iTrustCapital. So we're going to dive into a bunch of topics, one of them being the Q, the quantitative trading strategies. So I'm really excited to dive into that. Of course, the crypto lending on the way, and everything in between, including price action. So I really hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Remember that iTrustCapital is linked in the top of the YouTube video description and right in the pinned comment. This is where I've had my Roth IRA since January of 2020. Highly recommended. Thank you guys for watching. Hit that like button and be sure to create an account on iTrust if you haven't already. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to smash the like button and let me know your thoughts down below. You can find all links to my crypto resources, including tools for charting, trading bots, wallets, portfolio trackers, and exclusive discounts right in my link tree in the video description. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.